If you have a minister like Farida Karone, and I'm sorry to say this, who tells us that employees in the other house are rotten, but that you can't replace them, who will do the job? Reminding me of what Muralia said in 2003 when he was the late Muralia.
I see.
Talking about procurement department in government is rotten. But if you replace them, if you sack them, who will do the job? There can't be such a stupidity working in this country. There are cases as old as me, if not older. I'm telling you my mother's case, of a land case. When I was in high school, and look at my age, there are many cases that go back 30, 40 years, 50 years. So long as conmen are allowed a field day, even if you digitize, it will take you nowhere.
And you're just in time for yet another edition of Business Glide here on Herman Manyora's channel. My name is Richard Mwenja. Now, majority Kenyans continue losing billions of shillings to property development and investments company. The latest on the receiving end of distressed investors being the Saiton group of companies. Now, the Kenyan real estate sector has profiled itself as an go-to arena for investment malpractices. Is it a case of regulators overstepping their mandate or systemic failures in the part of these very investment entities? To bring this conversation home, I'm joined by public scholar Herman Manyora. Professor, welcome on set.
Thank you.
All right. Last week, we saw Saiton Investments Group board chairman through the CEO, Edwin Dande, seek court intervention to put two of the unregulated investment vehicles under administration. So they say that this is a viable move that will see restructuring and returning value to investors. Does this conversation fly for you, or it's a case of frauding of investors' money?
The whole story doesn't add up.
All right.
Nothing about that thing adds up.
I see.
Vulnerable Kenyans have put their hard-earned cash into this scheme, and when they go for the returns, they are just given story after story.
All right.
And the sad part is that government doesn't seem to care.
I see. And then, Professor, we see it is illegal to raise money from the public without regulation. For the case of Saiton's two unregulated investment vehicles, we saw billions of shillings being contributed to this fund. Now, CMA is in place, the Capital Markets Authority, but we see it oftentimes coming into action only after investors have been swindled their money. Could there be an arena that provides foul play and kickbacks between regulators and these very entities?
You know, these conmen are clever.
I see.
They look for the gray areas in the law. They look for opening that allows them to con. If you look at that Saiton thing, they would say, for example, that certain investment portfolios would fall under the regulator.
All right.
But there were others that didn't fall under the regulator.
True.
All these are cheap games. Even when you look at the pyramid schemes, the central bank would then come and say, well, this didn't fall under our purview, you know?
I see.
So, in other words, the conmen look at the law. First, they know where enforcement of the law is weak. They use that.
All right.
Secondly, they look where the law doesn't exist. They use that route. Thirdly, they look at areas that require interpretation or gray areas, so to speak.
Right.
Again, so they have so many openings to use to con the public.
I see.
But at the end of the day, one can only ask, where is government?
All right.
Yeah, because government is bigger than any law. Government cannot allow conmen to con people, vulnerable Kenyans, billions of shillings. They smile all the way to the bank, they become rich, and somebody hides into there's no regulation, the games that are played in our courts.
I see.
It is time government did what the king did in England.
All right.
To take care of smart lawyers and say this kind of thing cannot work. We need equity in the administration of justice.
All right.
And that is how that law came into being. So we need that kind of move where clever people don't take advantage of small openings in our regulatory regimes.
All right. Yeah. Sticking to that lane, Prof, Saiton came ahead and said that it disclosed as much as it could and investors should have read as much as they should. Could information asymmetry be the case here instead of swindling narratives driven by many?
You know what?
All right.
As a taxpayer paying Kenyan who has put a government in place, you know government ought to have a longer hand, a bigger arm, a bigger brain,
I see.
more open eyes to see things which me I cannot see. And that's how government comes in to protect people.
All right.
You get it?
I see.
Even a person who has gone to school like you and I, there is always small print used by companies like insurance companies, banks when they are giving loans. Those, because when you are in need of a loan, top and foremost to you is that money you need, the 3 million. The small print, and you are not a lawyer. Citizens are not even lawyers. That's how government comes in, to protect its citizens from conmen and exploitation.
All right. Professor, we have seen a number of cases being brought to the media. Talk of investment companies such as Suraya Property Group, Goldenscape, Greenhouses, Banda Homes, a number. And all of them, majority of them have invested chunk of their capitation towards the real estate. Now, would you say that the Kenyan real estate is the arena for all these malpractices? If you want to swindle investors' money, the best play to play your game is at the real estate sector.
It is at the level we are as an economy, as a young economy.
All right.
You know, I've kept saying that we are new in the money economy.
I see.
That's why, and that's how come almost every Kenyan dreaming of saving or investing, it is in physical things.
I see.
A posho mill, a matatu, a bar, charcoal, second-hand, physical things.
All right.
You see, we are that level.
I see.
At a slightly higher level, then, there's the real estate. To rental houses of 2,000 per month, 3,000 per month. Okay, an apartment here. You see, that's where we are. In physical things. We have not learned to save in securities, for example.
I see.
In other investments.
I see.
In the invisible market. In other words, non-physical assets. Moving bonds, treasury bills. We are not yet there. At least not in significant numbers.
I see.
For that reason, therefore, many of the people will be going there, and that's where the conmen will be landing.
All right.
Today, if a company retrenches, is allowed to retrench and is giving people golden handshake, good send home packages, conmen will descend on those people who are going home.
All right.
And they will be sending on them with offers of land in Kitale, Naivasha, Nakuru, Nanyuki, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, true.
You know, houses. Even when MPs come to Nairobi for the first time, I mean newly elected members of parliament, and they have this grant for cars, conmen descend on them, but especially for the housing, where they are given, I think, 25 to 30 million. I'm not quite sure, about 25 million to look for a house. All right. A mortgage or whatever. People also descend even on members of parliament. So if they can descend on members of parliament, you can imagine how much more so on innocent, not so sophisticated Kenyans who would seem to have some little money. They will descend on them, they will con them, fictitious land, fictitious scheme in Kilifi. True. I don't know, planting what, buy 2 acres, just buy it.
Some good deal on paper.
Just buy it from us, just give us 5 million or 2 million. We give you 2 acres and leave the rest to us. We shall plant mangoes for you. You know, kind of cheapness.
With a high return.
The question is,
I see.
Where is the government? That is the question.
All right.
Wapi serikali? Where is the government of Kenya when Kenyans are being conned?
All right.
That is the question.
Now, if you look at this multi-billion property development and investments company, they are owned by majority in the political class. Yes. Could now political interference in the execution of such accused be the case here? Because if you look at the case of Banda Home, Saiton, they are not owned by ordinary Kenyans like you, Prof. So could the judiciary and the court system at large be in cahoots with these very entities when it comes now to having swindled Kenyan money and it's time for prosecution? We rarely see that happening.
You know, you are right. We are in a unique situation in this country. We are in a situation where it is our leaders. By leaders, I mean the political class. True. The business class, religious class, you know, and all sectors.
I see.
It is our leaders who at the same time are the businessmen in this country. So it's a very unique situation where the people you would go to if you had problems, if things were not working, if you are being swindled, are the same people who are making the laws, enforcing the laws, running the businesses, benefiting from all those things. It is a difficult situation in this country. In some countries, there is a significant presence. I mean, there's a very insignificant presence of political leadership in business of the country.
I see.
So that business is for businessmen. Other people seek political leadership. You know.
All right.
But ours, they are one and the same. Your political leaders are your business leaders. They trade with the government. They cannot ensure that there are good laws to protect the citizens. Because if the citizen is protected, then the political leader who is the business leader won't benefit.
But skeptics will say they need the funding to drive their campaigns when it comes to elections, so they should invest as much as they can.
Who tells you we must fund elections with our own money?
I see.
Even where elections are funded, like in America, with huge dollar,
I see.
this money doesn't necessarily come from the politician. That's why fundraising is a clear indicator. The success in your fundraising in America begins to give an indication of the seriousness of your candidature.
All right.
So yes, money may be useful, but doesn't have to be your money, much less stolen money. You get what I'm saying?
All right.
If you're a popular candidate, people should be able to engage and fundraise for you because they can see in you a leader.
All right. Recently, we saw the Lands Ministry under CS Farida Karone digitizing its registry, the Lands Registry. Now, we have experienced cases of fake title deeds, of course, investors' title deeds being used as collateral for loans from the banking and other financiers, and most end up really losing their properties, or rather being sold properties that aren't registered, fake title deeds, etc. Going ahead, now that we're talking about investments and more so in the real estate sector, could digitization of the Lands Registry be the saving grace here towards capping these malpractices in the near future?
Garbage in, garbage out. These systems are created by human beings. When we created IFMIS, everybody celebrated, but this IFMIS has been used to swindle us because the systems are created by people.
But the Lands
They're just tools. I'm saying that's a system.
All right.
It will be as good as the people behind it. If you have a minister like Farida Karone, and I'm sorry to say this, who tells us that employees in the other house are rotten, but that you can't replace them, who will do the job? Reminding me of what Muralia said in 2003 when he was the late Muralia.
I see.
Talking about procurement department in government is rotten. But if you replace them, if you sack them, who will do the job? There can't be such a stupidity working in this country. So she says, guys working in the Ministry of Land are so bad. But then proceeds to tell us that if you remove them, who will do the job? You can't believe it's coming from a cabinet minister. So I'm saying, with those kind of people like Farida Karone in charge, the system, whatever system you put in place, is a waste of time.
But it has received a massive acknowledgement from the public.
I am saying yes. No, it is a matter of time because the crooks master it.
I see.
Them crooks will master it, they will still use it. Because if government is not serious enough to ensure that a title deed is a serious document, if the courts do not arbitrate diligently, seriously, with expediency, though judicious, the digitization will amount to nothing.
All right.
My mother's case has been there from as long as I was in high school. Look at my age. It is still in court. So long as we have those kind of, the courts are not doing their work seriously. Right. If you look at the land division, there are cases as old as me, if not older. I'm telling you my mother's case, of a land case. When I was in high school, and look at my age. There are many cases that go back 30, 40 years, 50 years. You get what I'm saying?
I see.
So long as the cabinet secretaries are as weak as the ones we have today, who throw their hands in the air. So long as conmen are allowed a field day, even if you digitize, it will take you nowhere.
All right. So retail investors looking forward to invest in the lands sector should brace up for more disappointments.
Of course, that's why
they expect the best.
That's a very good point. That is why land in this country is not being used the way it should be used.
All right.
If you have a serious land tenure system,
all right,
so that titles are not fake, You give a title and everybody believes in it. It is a good instrument for investment, for borrowing. You get it.
Collateral.
But in this country, even if you take a land title deed today in court, if you are supposed to give it cash bail or something,
yeah.
collateral,
Yeah.
courts don't want to touch because they are, all these things are fake. Most of them are fake. So by strengthening the value and sanctity of the title deed,
All right.
you are doing serious good to business. It is at the core of business, land. Nothing more than land. But today, and then, what is worse? When it goes to court, because there will always be disputes in the world. When these disputes go to court, courts take like forever.
I see.
And whenever they are betrayed, they give unbelievable decisions. So for that reason, the land must be at the core of our move to ensure that this country moves Kenyans into the business arena. You get what I'm saying?
All right.
Because many people would use land.
True.
There are very few other things you can use
True.
as collateral.
Yeah, true.
So the title must be a document that everybody respects,
All right.
especially foreigners and other investors.
All right. Coming to the tail of our conversation, Prof, we have seen a number of Kenyan retail investors, case in point those who invested with a Saiton Investment Group, two unregulated investment vehicles, going as far as being put on antidepressants. This is how bad the situation is. Going ahead, paint to us a picture of how investment in the Kenyan real estate sector and other investment fronts look like with these majority investment companies being at jeopardy.
What we need are good regulators.
All right.
What we need are good laws, but
I
there are
see.
always laws.
All right.
What I am asking is for government to be government. Across the world, there is a reason government is put in place.
All right.
So that crooks do not exploit the citizens of our country.
All right.
Government is absent in this country when it comes to things like those. And the reason why some of these people have almost committed suicide, I think some others have.
Yeah, it's their lifetime
Others have
savings.
been put on antidepressants, their depression.
Mental health.
If you look at the people crying on television, in documentary, in feature stories covering those who have been conned, you can see a trend and a pattern. A majority of these people are innocent people.
True.
Women, young people,
Widows.
Yeah. Somebody who is so innocent is looking at a future where they have at least a house.
Retirement
They don't know the
savings.
intricacies of the market. They are
True.
just innocent people. And that's why I insist, government. Because not all investors are lawyers.
True.
Not all of them are seasoned investors.
Or business advisors.
A majority of business investors, those who invest in this project, the programs, they are innocent men and women. And that's how government comes in. Government must stand in for its people and get rid of the conmen who are known.
All right.
You see government going in circles about a person who has collected 3 billion from people.
True.
I don't want government to go into issues of law where you just get this, you got 3 billion, let's go for it. Even if we get 2.5, we freeze it. And look at what small you have, because they would normally buy a few acres, some little land. You get it?
All right.
So that they use that as a bait.
True.
You get? The first people are given, then you can go somewhere, there's a scheme like that people you're talking about.
True.
You can see some houses, in some various stages of development. Others are one floor, the second floor. They are, you can see.
True.
Get that and get the money they have and put them in jail.
All right. The very last, Professor, majority regulators, case in point, Capital Markets Authority, have anti-fraud units in them.
Yes.
What's your word to these very fraud units? Should they be abolished, or should they step up their game, or they don't even have a reason to exist in the first place?
I just go back to government, nothing else. These guys are crooks, all of them. They benefit.
All right.
Because if I have a problem and I go to those people,
All right.
and you have conned me, because me I have nothing, because I had given you everything I had.
True.
You give them $1 million, they forget about it. So that's how I'm saying government. Government has to open its eye and know that it is a government that should protect the innocent Kenyan.
True.
From these conmen, fraudsters. You get it?
All right.
If you rely on some of these
Regulators,
agents,
yeah.
you cannot go for it's government.
All right.
And the government must begin to have people like Matiang'i, people like Michuki, those kind of ministers who can put their foot down
True.
and ensure that citizens of our country are not conned left, right.
All right. Well, that spells the end of our conversation. But before we leave, Professor, it is time for you to give your shout out to our fan of the week, and that is Mike Munoru, all the way from Moisbridge. He has been very interactive on our social media platforms and, of course, contributing to our agenda. So give the credits due to him.
We are very happy when we get feedback from our viewers. And Mike Munoru, thank you very much. Continue watching and tell more people to watch and tell more people to subscribe.
Well, let's keep this conversation going beyond here. I'm at Mwenja Richard on Twitter, at Manyora. We do appreciate your feedback. Should majority of Kenyans' property investment companies keep their stained linen for far too long, we expect nothing but more Kenyans to succumb into fatalities that come with loss of their investments. Until next time here on Business Glide, my name is Richard Mwenja.